The moment I noticed the new fence, I knew Karen had crossed a line. Overnight, a solid wall of metal and wood appeared along the edge of my property, perfectly straight, freshly painted, and clearly designed to assert dominance rather than mark a boundary. No notice, no discussion, just a silent declaration that she thought she could control land she had no right to touch. Karen and her HOA had always thrived on subtle intimidation, letters, fines, and passive-aggressive patrols. But this was the first time they had made a physical move without any legal footing. They assumed I would be startled, frustrated, maybe even desperate enough to confront them directly. They assumed I didn't already know the full layout of my property and the secrets it held. I didn't react immediately. Instead, I walked along the fence, examining the welds, the posts, and the new padlocks. Every detail was recorded by my hidden cameras, devices cleverly integrated into the surrounding trees and shed eaves, unnoticed by anyone who believed they were moving stealthily. Karen's obsession with controlling every inch of my land had made her careless, and I was ready to use that carelessness to my advantage. Months before, anticipating her escalation, I had built a hidden access tunnel under the property. At first glance, it looked like nothing, just part of the terrain, slightly sunken and overgrown, but it was fully reinforced, leading from one end of my land to the other without detection. No fence, no padlock, no board meeting could stop someone who knew the tunnel existed. It had been my insurance against exactly this type of aggression. Now, as the sun began to rise and Karen's patrol vehicles lined the edge of my property, I knew it was time to move. While the HOA believed they had successfully restricted my access, I had already planned my route. Every inch of the fence, every fresh post, every padlock would be irrelevant once I activated my hidden path. Karen thought she was demonstrating authority. She didn't realize she had just triggered a trap, one I had prepared in plain sight, but hidden in shadow. The next steps wouldn't just restore my access, they would remind her and the entire board that some land is untouchable and some owners are smarter than their enemies expect. Karen and the HOA board believed they had succeeded. From their perspective, the fence was a final physical assertion of control, a statement that this land, though technically mine, could no longer be freely accessed. Their vehicles were strategically parked along the perimeter, their members lurking nearby, with smug expressions, confident that the barricade would force compliance or at least provoke a reaction they could exploit. I did not react as they expected. I didn't stomp, shout, or call their bluff immediately. Instead, I monitored every movement through the network of hidden cameras I had installed months prior. Thermal sensors captured their patrols at night, drones recorded their clandestine measurements, and pressure sensors along the fence line documented every step and touch they made. The HOA had assumed stealth, but in their arrogance, they had triggered an invisible web I had been patiently setting for weeks. The hidden access tunnel, built years earlier as a contingency for scenarios just like this, became the centerpiece of my plan. Its entrance was obscured by natural terrain and cleverly camouflaged vegetation, invisible to anyone not intimately familiar with the land. From inside, it ran beneath the new fence, reinforced with steel and lined with lights and sensors. While Karen thought she had cornered me, I was already moving undetected, bypassing the barriers they had imposed. I emerged on the other side, silently surveying the fence and the board members milling near it. Their confident postures and smug chatter were a testament to how little they understood. Every welded post, every padlock, every inch of barrier they had installed was now irrelevant. The tunnel allowed me complete control of access without confrontation, turning their physical blockade into a display of futility. But I didn't stop there. Using the evidence collected from the cameras and sensors, I prepared a detailed report documenting their actions. Every instance of trespassing, every attempt at obstruction, Every careless comment caught on video was cataloged with timestamps and coordinates. The HOA had no legal claim to my land, yet they had acted as if they did, and their attempts at intimidation now became undeniable proof of harassment and attempted property interference. With the county inspector pre-notified and ready, I guided them through the tunnel to the other side, revealing the fence's weakness and the HOA's violation. Karen's face turned pale as the inspector examined the barrier, cross-referencing it with the official property lines I had provided. Her smug confidence began to crumble as the inspector highlighted the illegality of welding a fence across private property and blocking legitimate access. The HOA tried to argue jurisdiction, claiming oversight over community appearance and property compliance, but the evidence was irrefutable. Every move had been documented, and every claim of authority they made outside their boundaries was officially invalid. The inspector issued an immediate order: remove the fence, restore access, and refrain from future interference. The HOA members shuffled awkwardly, realizing their authority had evaporated in a single morning, and Karen's attempts to assert control had backfired spectacularly. By mid-afternoon, the fence was dismantled, padlocks removed, and the tunnel remained my private, undisturbed conduit of access. The board members retreated, humiliated, their perception of power shattered. What had begun as an audacious attempt to control my property ended in public exposure and legal reprimand. Karen had underestimated preparation, patience, and knowledge of the land. She had thought a physical barrier could intimidate me, but instead, it became the stage on which her arrogance was exposed. My hidden tunnel had not just preserved my access. It had turned the tables completely, leaving the HOA powerless and me firmly in control. By the next morning, the HOA board had gathered near the now-removed fence, their expressions a mix of disbelief and embarrassment. Karen, usually so confident, looked small and defeated. Every member had seen the evidence: the hidden access tunnel, the documented trespassing, the county inspector's official order. Their stunt to control my land had failed spectacularly. The inspector handed Karen the formal notice. The fence had to be dismantled immediately, access fully restored, and no further attempts to interfere with my property could be made. The ruling was clear. Any future violation could result in fines and legal action against the HOA itself. Karen's imagined authority had evaporated. I walked freely through the open gate, the tunnel hidden once more, a silent testament to preparation and foresight. The board retreated without a word, realizing that their attempts to intimidate had only exposed their overreach. Whispers spread through the neighborhood, and even the most loyal HOA supporters now understood Karen's limits. The ranch returned to its quiet rhythm. Cattle grazed, wind rustled through the trees, and the driveway, untouched by interference, stood as a symbol of resilience. Karen had learned that control imposed without authority could collapse in moments, and I had proven that knowledge, strategy, and patience were far more powerful than a hastily erected fence. Some try to dominate, some build walls. I simply used foresight, and the land remained mine,